This is not a time to be holding large gatherings. Neither is it the time to discard our face masks, no matter how uncomfortable they are. Why do I bring this up? Because recently we had a spate of headlines originating from Massachusetts saying that among people who came down with COVID-19, 75% were vaccinated. Well, let me get something straight off the bat here. Vaccines are not perfect, but they reduce the rate of infection and they keep people out of the hospitals. So let's deal with the 74, 75%. What does it really mean? Imagine we had a population where 100% of the people were vaccinated. Because the vaccine is not perfect, some would still come down with COVID. But of course, everyone who came down with COVID is vaccinated because everybody is. So among COVID patients, we have a 100% vaccination rate. Now let's take a look at Massachusetts. This state has a very high vaccination rate, more than 65%, and apparently up to 85% in Provincetown. So it's not surprising that among the people who came down with COVID, 75% would be in the vaccinated rate because most people are indeed vaccinated. Keep in mind also that this whole event was triggered by the July 4th weekend, massive gatherings, and people were not masked. The real number to keep in mind here is 1.07. What is that? That is the percentage of people who ended up in hospital among the infected. There were 469 infections and only 5 people ended up in hospital. One of these was unvaccinated, 2 had prior conditions. So it is a very low rate. The vaccine keeps us out of the hospital. Furthermore, we know that 90% of COVID patients who are hospitalized are unvaccinated. Now, it's true that the Delta variant is scary. It spreads very quickly, spreads like chickenpox. We also know that vaccinated people have as many viruses in their nose as the unvaccinated, so they can spread the disease. But you know what? They are still less likely to spread it because they are less likely to contract the disease in the first place because they are vaccinated. So what is our takeaway message here? There's absolutely no reason to panic over the 75%. In fact, this is what we would expect. The higher the vaccination rate, the higher will be the percentage of people who come down with COVID who are vaccinated, right? So let's make sure that we don't get engaged in unnecessary travel, that we don't engage in gatherings that are unnecessary, and that we still use the mask when we are, especially in indoor situations. And above all, if you're not yet vaccinated, do so. Remember that unvaccinated people are just incubators for variants. And that, for today, is our Cup of Joe.